Hi friend, I just wanted to take a minute to invite you to our Lash Biz Babes Experience 2026. This is a one-day all online event happening on May 2nd, and our theme for the year is going all in. We are shaking things up and doing it differently than anyone ever has before. This is going to be an all online event as usual, but it's going to be 100% a curated journey throughout your day as we guide you through the mindset, strategy, and passion needed to go all in on your business to make it your best year in business yet. All lash artists, estheticians, and beauty professionals are invited to join us. There will be guided sessions, interactive workshops, a panel discussion, and big giveaways happening throughout that whole day. And tickets are on sale now for only $199. Payment plans are available. Let's go all in on our businesses for 2026 together. All the details and the link for tickets are down in the show notes below. I would love to have you join us online in May. Welcome to Lash Biz Babes, the podcast for solo beauty business owners who want to build a full clientele and create a business and life that they truly love. My name is Erica. I'm your host. I'm a lash artist turned beauty business coach, lash educator, and social media manager for salons and beauty businesses. I'm so happy that you're here. Let's go ahead and jump into today's episode. Welcome to this week's episode. I'm super excited to have a guest on today. We've got Kaitlyn Francisco, and a little bit about her. Her mission is to be a thought leader for women and beauty professionals. She's been a lash entrepreneur of 15 years, and she's been through so many ebbs and flows of business, and it's all led her to self-discovery and self-confidence, and she's here to inspire that in others. I'm super excited to have Kaitlyn on the show. We kind of connected on Instagram last year, I think, and have just realized we have a lot in common, and I just absolutely love and adore her, and I think she is incredible. She spoke at one of the panels for Lash Biz Babes conferences last year, and I'm really excited to have her on the show today. So welcome, Kaitlyn.
Thank you, Erica. And I am equally as excited to be here and to talk to you. And thank you for having me and for your time.
Of course. So if you want to start out with just introducing yourself a little bit and kind of how you got into the industry.
Yeah, sure. So I grew up with my background being in dance. And even as a kid, I always was doing all my friends' makeup and stuff for competitions and rehearsals and recitals and things like that. So it's in my blood. But I started this all 15 years ago when I was 19 years old, circling around, watching my friends go to college and couldn't figure out what I wanted to do. Didn't realize that the beauty industry had so many doors that could open and unfold towards success. So I really got into it on accident. I went to aesthetic school because I had dropped out of college twice already and was just trying to find something to do with my time. And when I went in and had my first interview, I realized that this was made for me. And I started out working for brands like Estee Lauder and Bobbi Brown. I've worked with Smashbox and NARS and Kiehl's and La Mer, and I've traveled to and from New York City a gazillion times to train in all the different headquarters. So my background was makeup, but I wanted to do something that was going to build me residual income that people were going to have to come back for over and over again. First, I looked into permanent makeup and somehow lashes ended up grabbing my attention. There was only one brand at the time. It was Nova Lash, and the founder was doing Beyonce's eyelashes at the time. And I think that's what roped me in. I went in, I trained. It didn't come easy for me at first, but it was something I wanted. So it took me a good 2 years before I felt really confident to get out there and start building myself. And from there forward, it just kind of all unfolded. I wanted to open a salon since I was a kid. So I did that. I had my daughter. I became a single parent. My mission grew. I wanted to inspire and help younger girls to make decisions better than I had so they could end up in different scenarios. I invested into different life coaches and mindset motivators. And I really started working on my self development and realized how much that contributes to my success and my well being. And from there, I started teaching classes. And I found that that is just my biggest passion is helping other women grow businesses. I've started it around lashes and teaching people how to build lashes, but there's so much more that I want. I'm hoping to go out there and find a community of like-minded individuals who just believe in their own confidence and their own success and building something that nobody can ever take away from them.
Absolutely love that. And just the progression of it too, of like where you started to where you're at now, it almost seems like it just naturally unfolded that way, like this was always your mission to begin with or like your purpose to begin with, and you were just working towards that the whole time.
Yeah, I think I was. Even when I fell into teaching classes, it's just a bunch of girls had asked me to learn lashes, and I sat down with them and I just kind of threw up all my self-development stuff on them, and they were crying and they were emotional, and that's when I realized that it is my mission and it's greater than I am.
I love that. So, at what point did you realize like self-development does play such a big role in your success as an entrepreneur?
Okay, so if you want to really get like emotional with it, I can tell you the exact
My
day.
girl.
So I had decided to open a salon and I was only 25 at the time. I was pregnant. And I was pregnant with a man I had only known for 6 months, but I had left a toxic, abusive relationship. And this man was kind and it was a safe space for me. And I just threw everything into it way too quickly. I decided to open a salon while I was pregnant. I had an allergic reaction to the hormones my body was producing while I was pregnant. So I broke out in hives from my neck to my toenails for 7 months. During that time, I had to leave my salon 2 months before having my baby because I couldn't even get dressed and put clothes on and go to work or sleep at night. And I started losing my mind then. In the backgrounds, my family was also falling apart. It wasn't this fairy tale that I had ideologized in my mind. And while I was on my maternity leave, everything just went wrong. Everyone in my staff pretty much decided to quit. And I knew that they were going to because I couldn't pour into them anyways. I was so just messed up in my head about everything else that was falling apart. So there was this day that I was at my house and I was like literally on the ground, fetal position, like we do when we're at our lowest, and just bawling my eyes out. And I called my sister and I was like, I just don't even want to exist in this reality anymore. Like, I'm failing at being a mom. I'm failing at being a business owner, a friend, a step parent, a wife. Like, I just felt like I couldn't get anything right. And my sister came to my house and she started kicking me while I was laying on the ground. And I was like literally crawling away from her, like boogers everywhere, sobbing my eyes out. And she just kept telling me to get up, get up, get up, get up, And I'm like, stop, stop kicking me. I'm crawling away from her, bawling my eyes out. And she said, you crawl if you have to, but you get up. And that day we had a very long conversation afterwards, but I started realizing that like I was just my own worst enemy. And I needed to fix my mental before I could fix everything else that was around me. And so I just started working on trying to be a good mom and a good person and to love myself. And as I did that, that's when I taught that first lash class. And it just kind of I just followed my heart ever since then, and I just started realizing that if you're not confident, don't love yourself, that you can't grow anything else, and expect people to be confident in what you're creating.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and especially in like a salon setting too, because like you were saying, like I can't pour into these girls. I can't help them grow. The salon's not growing because of that. And I think that that's such an important part of, not even just in a salon setting, but in any kind of setting, if someone wants to do any type of coaching or
Yeah.
have a team of any sort, that's such an important part of it and the leadership skills that it requires. And I don't think a lot of people realize that
No.
about.
Yeah, I realized how much of my happiness too I was depending on like other people, like depending on the people who worked for me to be happy to make me happy, depending on this guy to stay with me and this life to work out and that to make me happy. And I realized that the only person that can make me happy is myself. And once I found that out, it was like I found the golden ticket and I just needed to tell everybody, like if you just love yourself and make yourself happy, everything else will be okay.
If you were to talk to someone who maybe was in a similar position as you, and they're like, okay, I want to start working towards loving myself and making those changes, what advice would you give them, like, of where to start with that? Because for me, when I'm in a position like that, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so overwhelming. I don't even know where to start with this. And I'm like, I'm not taking action on it because I feel so overwhelmed. So if someone was in that position, what would you say?
So this is actually something that I start all of my classes with self-development because I feel like you're about to do something really hard. And before you do, you need to make sure that you know what's going to block you from not feeling good at it. And I think that the best thing anybody could do is sit down, and it may take you a couple days to create this list, but I think you truly have to get out a pen and paper and you have to look back on your childhood, your young adult life, your adult life that you've had so far, and pay attention to all the scenarios, the people, the things that haunt you, that happened, that hurt you. If somebody told you you weren't worthy of something, if somebody told you you were stupid, if somebody told you you had no artistic abilities, if somebody told you lashes isn't a real job, go to college, whatever things people have told you throughout your life, or whatever scenarios you've put yourself in, drugs and alcohol, whatever make you feel like you can't be a good enough person or business owner, and write them down and make a serious list of all the things that are popping in your mind that stop you. And I've done that activity for myself a million times, but now when I do it, I maybe don't have to go as far back as my childhood, but I have to really analyze myself, because these thoughts and these processes will come up over and over again, no matter how much work you do, and be like, what am I telling myself? I'm telling myself that this is hard. I'm telling myself that I don't know if this is going to work out. I'm telling myself that like I don't know the way. And so write the things down and start rewiring your thought process, because it all starts there. And if you can't nitpick what's causing your emotional strains, how are you going to eliminate them?
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. That is something I don't know. When I first got started too, it was like I didn't realize how interconnected all the mindset and like all I don't know, like all of the past things like you were talking about. I did not realize how much that plays a part in your ability to well, just really your mindset in general and just your ability to believe in yourself. You know what I mean? Like we get conditioned with these things from our childhood, or maybe someone like said, "Oh, you know, you're not ambitious enough to run your,"
Yeah.
I was told. So then that was something that even though I didn't feel like I believed that, I hung on to that.
And I feel like our mindset, it's not only a matter of like feeling like we can put ourselves out there, feeling like we can create business, but it's also our finances. Like I'll do some money manifesting classes with some of my students sometimes, and we'll work through those blocks that we learned again through our childhood, our young youths, our young adult lives. And we'll think of all the things that like block our money, and we'll start working through those and starting to write down like new ways that we're going to perceive money and what type of intimate relationship we want to have with money. And all of a sudden, my students will be like, oh my God, I just got a check in the mail. Somebody refunded me $150. Oh my God, I found a Visa gift card on the floor. I found $100. And it's like, we can have anything we want if we can learn how to control our minds.
Yeah, I think when I started learning some of that myself as well, that I don't know, it's like a whole new world opened up for me. I don't know if you felt that way
Yeah.
too, but it's like it was almost like my eyes were like opened. Like I
Yeah.
woke up to I don't know, not a different reality, but like it just
It's
changed
so,
so much for me. And
yeah.
it's crazy.
I agree. I know. And now, like, it's funny because I can't imagine going back. Like, I can't imagine living my life as like a status quo person who just gets up and does the same routine every day and goes to the same job and makes money for somebody else and just believes that this is all there is. Like, I could never go back, which then leads me into why I wanted to have these conversations with you today about people's opinions, because other people who haven't been able to think, learn, see, and be and believe those things can't ever meet you at the perception level that you're at, or see your visions and dreams the way you do.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just like different emotional intelligence levels and emotional maturity levels too. And I mean, I've always been someone who's very self-critical and who's taken other people's opinions in and like really gave them a lot of weight. And I've learned to not do that anymore. And it's incredible. I don't want to say it's as easy as just making a choice to not believe other people's opinions. Like I feel like it took me a while to get to the point
Right.
where I was like, I don't care about other people's opinions, but because I used to like hear people say, "Oh, other people's opinions of you don't matter." I'm like, "Oh my gosh, that's so not true." Like it's
Mhm.
I'm like, I don't even want to know what you think of me because I do not care. Like I know who I am
Yep.
and I'm confident in that and I'm confident in what my standards are and my like yeah,
It
it's
is a whole
such a freeing place to be.
Yeah, it feels to me like life is like a video game, and each thing that we're doing is our different levels. Like I can literally look back on my life as chapters, and how you said it was one of those eye-opening moments when you realize that you could control your mindset. It's another eye-opening moment that once you learn how to control your mindset, eventually getting to that point of being able to drop the struggle of people's opinions and judgments of you and really going your direction. But you can't get there either until you work on the confidence part.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and it reminds me of too, sometimes other people's opinions or even our own opinions of ourselves, like you kind of create this story and this narrative in your head of your life and who you are. And I think what I've learned is that you can always change that too. You can change the story and the narrative you're telling yourself. Like you're like, oh, well, I'm just bad at lashing. Oh, I'm just not as good of a lash artist as the person down the street. Like, is
Yeah.
that actually true or is that not? And once I learned to kind of start being self-aware enough to recognize the stories I was telling myself and then challenging them, like, okay, is this actually factually true or is this something like basically a lie I'm telling myself, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And and you can change that and you can like create a different narrative and a different story for yourself. And a lot of these things can be really deeply rooted and deeply seated from your childhood.
Oh
I've
yeah.
worked with so much childhood trauma the last couple of years and it I don't know, like I was saying, it's so freeing to move past those things and to realize that that doesn't have to define who I am anymore and
Yeah.
to create what that reality is for me now.
Yeah, it's like we're like a little ball of Play-Doh, and like everybody that comes along through our lives just pokes you and pokes you and pokes you, and it shapes you into this thing. And you can either like harden and dry out as that shape of what the world created you to be, or you can actually like mold yourself into whatever beautiful sculpture you decide you want to be. And it really is just a decision, like you said before, even though that's so hard to grasp, but it really is.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like you're the artist of your life, right? Like it's almost like your life is a piece of art and you can
Yeah.
create whatever you want with that. And I know that sounds like so cheesy and cliche, but truly, honestly, you have so many opportunities.
Yeah.
And I found it hard to be like, well, I failed in the past or I didn't do as well or this thing happened to me. And so I can't be successful at this or whatever the
Yeah.
story is.
Yeah, and I feel like once people realize that they can just grow one thing that becomes successful, as long as you can grow one thing, you start realizing that you can grow anything. And then you can start creating multiple businesses, multiple streams of revenue.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I feel like it snowballs on itself at that point too. Once I started getting the confidence with one venture, and then it was like, okay, that self confidence just continued to build on itself and snowball. And then it's kind of evolved and got me to where I'm at now.
Yeah, I know. And I love thinking of life like that clean canvas, like you said too, because that's kind of where I feel like I'm at this year. I spent the last 10 years working so hard to accomplish a certain dream. And then once I got there and the dream had been accomplished, it's like, okay, now what? So now I feel like I'm sitting here with yet again another blank canvas in front of me. I feel like I took certain things I was doing as far as I could possibly take them without burning out. And now I'm just ready to just completely paint an image of exactly what I want my life to be instead of like, I don't know. I feel like the first thing I built was like it was all outside need for self-validation because I didn't feel good about myself, so I needed to build a salon that other people thought I was so successful. I needed to make sure it was the best salon where I lived to make sure that people knew I was the best at it, And I needed to make tons of money so I could live in a huge, beautiful, fancy townhouse and drive a fancy car and make sure everyone knew I made it. And then I hit this point in my life where like I feel like my daughter just became the only person I care about. And so now it's like I don't care about any of that. So when it comes down to being just your own self need for validation, what do you actually want to create? You know?
Yep.
Interesting.
I find myself almost feeling that way within the industry sometimes too. Like, I need to speak at this conference, or I need to be this successful, or train this
Yep.
many students, or even sometimes like, oh, like I don't have as many followers as some other popular names, and feeling like I needed those things to be able
Yeah.
to make a difference in the industry and to be able to like add value. And I don't know, like in the last year, like the year and a half, 2 years, I've just really leaned into like, I don't need to be a part of the popular crowd. I don't need to
Yep.
be accepted by anybody else to
Yep.
make a difference and to grow my business and to hit my goals and be successful. Like you're saying, like I don't need that outside validation. And I can't even tell you like the difference that it's made and how much faster I've been able to grow my business,
Yep.
letting go of that need for external validation in any capacity.
Yeah, I think we're kind of at like similar points because I feel like 2 years ago, that was my mission. Like, meet all the conference owners, get on those stages, share my knowledge with the world, show them what I've got. And then little by little, I know you and I have had conversations about like, same thing, how a lot of the same people move to each conference. And like, I just spent so many years trying to make myself be my own identity away from everybody else that I surrounded myself with, that there's no part of me that wants to morph into a group. Like I just want to be my own individual person. And that's why this year I actually had just retired from my lash chair and decided to go full time teaching my lash classes. And I actually changed my mind after about 6 months and was like, you know what? I just want to do everything that I love. And so now I'm doing makeup, permanent makeup, tattoos, lashes, classes, just everything I like doing. And to me, it also made me feel more confident because I felt like by taking that step, it opens doors to so many other conferences and opportunities and networking experiences. I could go to the makeup shows, I could go to the PMU shows, I could go to the lash show. I got so sick of that niching down, like everybody was like suffocating me with, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Well, and I love that you just let like your heart be your guide on that because I think sometimes we can fall into this box of like, I have to fit the mold to be successful and I have to, I don't know, do it like somebody else has, or we just feel like we have to do it one certain way, right?
Yep.
But when you're able to just like focus on what do I love, what's going to light me up, the success follows with that, in my opinion, or at least in my experience.
I agree as well. I know I went through like a crazy year this year too because I had a big turnover in my salon. But I started realizing too, like there were things I was doing and creating that were making people not like me. So like I wanted to take lashes to this next level of luxury. I wanted to charge top dollar. It's $150 per fill. I was adding all this value to our services. And then I started teaching other girls how to get to that level too, you know? But what I realized with moving up a level is it comes with jealousy and envy from people sometimes, which sucks, but that's part of the salon world, you know? But I started realizing that. And at first, it made me feel bad because I was like, no, I've worked so hard to make sure that everybody knows that I just want to give anything that I am thinking about doing that's going to make me be successful. I'm going to share it with the world. But there's going to be people that don't like that. And that's what made me realize, like, screw it. Who cares if people like it or don't like it? It's what you want to do. It's what makes you the happiest. It's what inspires and changes people's lives. So you just have to do what you're good at. And it just made me realize who cares?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and at the end of the day, like not every single person is ever going to be happy with any decision that you make. Like you're never going to make every person happy. Not every person is always going to like you,
Yep.
and that's okay.
I know. I was just,
That
well,
shouldn't hold you back from pursuing what you love because it's like, okay, what's more important? Their opinion of you or hitting your goal or going after your dreams or like doing what you love?
yeah, and I think too, like my whole existence is based around my daughter and providing for her, especially because it literally does come down to like mostly just me. And so, like, I don't care what anybody else thinks about me because, like, I need to build something beautiful for my daughter and her future. And that's the only thing that matters, you know? But then what I realized too through all this stuff was about like people's perceptions yet again, because there's a lot of people who, one, aren't mothers, people who haven't done self work to work on their self limiting beliefs and behaviors, so their perceptions are so completely different from mine or people who are where I am. You know, it's not that they're below me or above me or anything like that. It's just different. And so, like, we're never gonna see eye to eye because I could explain to you over and over again what I want to do and create and be, but your perception's so different that you're never gonna understand it. So, why do we spend so much time worrying about people's opinions and judgments when at the end of the day, it's almost like we're all living in our own movie scenes?
Yeah, I 100% agree with that, like, so hard. I've had even as of yesterday, after, like, less than 24 hours ago, I was dealing with this experience of someone and a lot of it is, like, their projections of their own struggles and their own traumas and things that they haven't healed, and I'm not saying I've never done this before either, like, I know I'm have things to work on, and I have my own, like we all do, like, yeah, like you were just saying, but it's like when they're projecting that on you, and you can either choose to let that hold you back. For me, it's more like a fuel and a motivation,
Yeah.
push
Yeah.
you for more and to continue to do better.
Yep.
In that instance particularly, it's like I kind of look at how they're living their life and how I'm living
Yeah.
mine, and
Very different.
it's a lot of decisions and the consequences of them, right? We can make a decision that has either positive or negative consequences that are
Yeah.
associated with it. And I kind of look at that like, okay, they're living their life and the decisions that they're making and where they're at. I would never want to trade places with them. No,
So
no.
why worry about
Yes.
think, you
Uh,
know?
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. It's like I would not wanna be them. I don't and that's when it's like, I don't even care what
no,
you just say. Like, there was
no.
something I think I shared on Facebook after that that I just randomly popped up. It was like, "Stop thinking we're enemies. I don't care
Yeah.
about you." And not in a mean way, but just like your opinion is not that valid to me. Like, I don't.
Just time to kinda carry on and move on with your life. I know I had to really make a strong judgment about that too this year because, the more successful I get and the more things I wanna teach, like, especially teaching girls to charge $150 a lash fill, some people really don't like that, like, they feel like that's money hungry, and I've been called money hungry and narcissistic and things like that so many times. And that happened to me this year where I was being called those things because of what I teach and what I speak on and what I do. But you know what? I also was in the middle of teaching these ways to these five amazing girls. And one of my girls had been suicidal. She had talked about her wants to one of her family members. The family member convinced her not to do so, and he ended up taking his own life that night. I had another woman whose kid's dad was a drug addict and had completely drained their bank account. She had no idea how she was even going to feed them or keep a roof over her two kids' heads. And her family all lives out in a different country. And so I brought her into class for free and I trained her, and we made enough money to get her and her kids out of this country and back home to her family. And I had another girl who has made really poor decisions for ways that she wanted to make money that she would never want her daughters to know about. And so she chose to change her entire life and leave this state and become a lash artist and start her lash business so that her kids could have somebody to look up to. And when I look at those three girls and their stories, I don't give a shit if anybody thinks I'm money hungry or narcissistic because I'm changing people's lives who have something worth fighting for. And so, how would I not like, how would their lives not change? Where would they be if I wasn't able to have these experiences with them? What if I sat here and I let somebody calling me those names hold me back from changing these lives, these mothers' lives, their kids' lives? Absolutely not.
Yeah, and the difference in like the ripple effects of that not only changing that woman's life that you were helping, but now the generational ripple effects that that's going to have. And yeah, like you're saying, at the end of the day, that is so much more important than you and your perception that someone random may have of you. I've been in the position, I've heard from a lot of people like, well, if people from high school, what would they think? This person, this family member, this
Yeah.
whatever is, and it's like you were saying, for me, my kids' opinions of me are more important than anything else. So I want to be the best damn mom and business owner and person that I
Yeah.
can be
Yeah.
myself, but also for them, like, because my ceiling is their ground floor, right? So
Yeah.
as far as I can raise that for myself, that's where they start out at. And I want them to like get on the best foot that they can possible because I know life is already hard enough as it is.
Yeah, and we go through different experiences too in our lives, even just this past year of your like moving scenario. I've had a lot of moves myself this year and stuff like that. Like I want to make sure my daughter has a forever home that she gets to have that's hers forever. And I don't care if I buy it for her. I've gone through so many struggles with moving so many times in my life that, like, I'm working to make sure that I can, one, buy myself a home and two, buy my kid a home when she's in her 20s that is hers forever, whether she needs to sell it at some point and have money, wants to turn it into a rental property, needs a place to run away to. But like, I'm working hard enough to make sure I can buy those two houses, you know?
Yeah, and just like setting them up for success. And I don't know, I feel like some of that can kind of be frowned upon, which is so weird to me.
It's
Like,
so weird.
oh, you can't make, oh, well, it was hard for me. So, like, I shouldn't, like, I don't know. I feel like maybe it's just like an older generation mentality of like, I struggled, so you need to struggle too, kind of thing. I want better for my kids than I've ever had. And I'm working my damn hardest to make that happen.
Absolutely, 100%. I couldn't agree more. I know. And now, like, I just want to help the kids even more. Like, I'm so inspired from becoming a mom and helping girls. My classes are usually girls who are 17 to like 24 years old, in and outside of that number. But like now I'm a homeschool parent too. And I want to get into teaching this stuff to teenagers. I want to bring them in, even if they don't have a license, just work on some mannequin heads, nothing outside of state lines. But just being able to sit down, do the self-development work with them and show them a salon and show them what I've created and show them that there's options and trades and things like that available because like sky's the limit. How far can we keep going? How much of an impact can we seriously make?
Yeah, that's so cool, and just really being able to help them open their eyes to that so early on, like, I feel like that's only gonna be so beneficial for them. When I went to aesthetic school, I had a teacher that who just really poured into us and really wanted the best for us, and it made all the difference for me. That's part of what really sparked my passion for the industry to begin with.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know I've talked to my students before who will tell me about a teacher who had inspired them and made them feel so good, something maybe they were lacking at home and things like that. And I have a horrible memory, so I can't even remember my teachers, which is so sad. But I pray that I can be that at least for somebody else in their memory, you know? My
Yeah.
brain remembers lash stuff and lipstick colors and things like that. But
Well, and it's so funny because like, people think that, well, it's just lashes or it's just makeup, but
no,
no, it's not like there's such a I mean, they don't see it because 'cause they're not in the industry like we are day to day,
no.
but it makes such a difference.
It really does. I know. I think back too to like those times when I had decided to go to beauty school and like it was a lot more taboo too because social media wasn't as big 15 years ago. So you couldn't really see firsthand how successful a hair girl or a lash girl or whatever could be. And I don't know about you, but I got so many things from family members like just about, yeah, like "Hey, that's what you're going to do. You're not going to go back to college. You're not going to finish college. Well, you're going to go back at some point, right?" And so I just want to be that person that's able to like tell people like forget all of those opinions, even if they're your parents, screw those opinions. You need to do what just makes you happy and lights you up.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think a lot of people don't realize the opportunities that there are in the industry too.
Yeah.
Even just for services, but you could own a salon, you could train, you could
Yep.
coach, you could podcast. The pivot I made last year going into social media management, like there's so many opportunities within the industry and it's so new still and still growing and like
Yeah.
it's crazy just
The
really
industry in general, you know, there's so many different avenues. And like one thing that I love being an entrepreneur and I love building my business, but I also really loved my jobs that I had before becoming an entrepreneur. And when I was 19 and I went to go work for Estee Lauder, I worked at the little counter in the makeup department, you know, 12 hours a week. But when I went into their trainings, it was in this huge, beautiful hotel banquet room, and everything was just dressed with flowers and garnishes. And the women were in suits and dresses, and they were just beautiful. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. First of all, I love working for this company. I got free makeup. But then some girl got on stage to train us, and she was the educator for the brand. And I learned that day that she got a company car, a company computer, a company cell phone. She traveled all over teaching to these other Estee Lauder workers. Her travel was paid for, and she got boatloads of free makeup, including all the new products coming out that she got to test before they were released. And I was like, oh my God. So as I went on and worked with these corporations, and I got to go to like Bumble and Bumble headquarters, La Mer headquarters, it's like there's so many avenues. Even if you wanted to be a tech girl in the beauty industry, you could be that, you know?
yeah, absolutely. And that's super cool. Do you feel like that experience kind of helped in your journey with entrepreneurship? Did you learn lessons from that that you've applied in your businesses now?
Yeah, I have learned so much. I worked for a lot of those big brands, but then I worked for this salon that's like probably one of our top salons out here in Rochester. And they're like a department store when you first walk in. They have all the big brands. So I got to work in their makeup department, which opened me to even more of the corporations. But I learned how to dress appropriately for work. I learned how to speak to my clients. I learned how to talk to them when they're not happy, what to do if something goes wrong in a service, you know? So by the time I stepped out to become an entrepreneur, I felt like I had tools in my belt and there was no other direction for me to go. That was it. But it's funny because I'll meet girls who don't ever work in a salon or for any company like that. They just go to beauty school and decide to start renting and learn on YouTube University and call it a day. And I'm like, you can't. There's so I mean, you can, but, like, to if depending on your level of how successful you wanna be too, like, I feel like there's just so much you can learn from working for other companies too, you know? I miss that. I'd love to go to back to freelancing, honestly, and being an educator for a makeup company or a lash brand on top of what I do, you know?
Yeah, yeah, it would be really cool. Well, and that's too is like, being able to go into that, you can always change your mind. You can always have a new dream, a new goal. And there's not just like one set path to success in the industry. There's
Yep.
so many different avenues that you can go down.
Yep, and that's the best part. It's so fun to like change your mind and learn something new and succeed at it. And then once you feel like you've succeeded at it, go another direction and learn another thing new and become successful at that, you know?
Yeah. Well, and for me too, it's been an experience of like just my life has changed too. I started when I was 19 years old and single and lost in life. And at this point, I've married and own a house and have 3 kids. And it's just my life is different now. And it's like, okay, well, how do I set my business up to really support how I want to live my life right now? Because this is much different than when I was at 10 years
And
ago.
align with your life ultimately.
Yeah, and you can always decide to do something different and create a business and opportunities for yourself that align so you can like live life how you want to.
Yep, 100%. I know because even when I first started my salons, within the first few years of having them, my biggest thing was like I was young, I was in my 20s, I was single, I was going out, I was partying. I loved being an it girl. Now I'm an introverted weirdo. But at that time, like that was my branding. It was like, come into my salon. I'm going to make sure that you know you're the sexiest and the baddest. And I'm going to tell you how hot you are. And I'm going to have selfie walls everywhere. And I'm going to take pictures of you. And we're going to make sure we get the hottest clients with the hottest bods and we're going to put them on our social media. We even did a Man Angel Monday where I brought in like 20 men and made them take their clothes off and pose in front of my neon angel wings for marketing purposes. I'll have to share the link so it can be attached to this podcast because it's too good not to share.
Oh my
But now, same thing, fast forward, I'm older, I'm a mom. My whole life revolves around just like being a mom and not doing anything else other than that and work. And now it's like, I just want to be super professional and I want to inspire people. It ebbs and flows. That the way I did it before wasn't bad. I loved it and it was perfect in that divine time. And now in this divine time, there's another level that's perfect. And I'm sure 10 years from now, there's going to be another level that's even more perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so happy for you with that. And like you can just literally see the genuine joy that it brings you. That's just the energy that I get from you. Even when I'm just messaging you, I'm like, she just is a light. Like I just
Yeah.
like
Right back.
just want to be around, you know?
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm right back at you. That's just like, I made a list of who I wanted to be probably 6, 7 years ago. And I'm still not 100% to that list, but I'm getting closer every single day. And I just feel like it's staying consistent. Like my work life is so stable and structured and perfect. And I just have plans for everything. And then my regular life is just like any other humans. It goes up and it goes down and it goes sideways and it spins in circles and it gets back on the path again. But I don't know, I just feel like I just love what I do. I wanna make a difference for people. I wanna share my knowledge with people and just become that exact version of myself that I envision myself becoming, and how we get there changes as we grow.
I think you're a very great example of that. And I
Thank
appreciate you coming on and sharing about that today. One last little question for you. Any last advice you would give if there's anyone out here listening to this who maybe feels really inspired by this, or maybe they're really struggling, what would you tell them?
I would tell them to just literally create a list of exactly who they would want to be if there were no limits and no boundaries and money wasn't an issue and nobody could be mad at you and location wasn't an issue, and really just create an exact detailed description of what your perfect day would be like, what your perfect job, your perfect clothes, your perfect house, and then start making goals underneath that of baby steps that you can take to become that, because it really, really, really is possible. And through the darkest moments in my personal life that go up and down, I just always stay consistent and keep showing up. And eventually, when the darkness fades, you've actually come farther than you thought you were throughout the whole like experience of turmoil. So I think just keep going, stay consistent, get clear, and don't stop showing up.
Yep, those baby steps will get you so far. Like you don't realize it, the little changes, and then you look back 6 months later, 2 months later, and it's like, wow, I've really a long way. Like I've made progress and all like the little wins around you.
Yeah. Well, thank you too for believing in me. And I just want to know that I believe in your brand and everything you're creating too. And I follow and I think you're dynamite. And I'm just happy to do all the things with you.
Just trying my best over here. I mean, that's all we can really do, right? And you
Yeah.
just keep showing up and you keep going. And
No
I
pressure.
don't know, like it's been a really hard year and I haven't kept up with the podcast as much as I like originally planned to this year. And it's like, okay, you could give up on that and be like, oh my gosh, I've not done really well with it. I'm just gonna let it die off. Or you can say, all right, it wasn't what I thought it would be, but I'm gonna pick it right back up and just keep on going. I so much appreciate having you on today. Where can they find you online to connect with you?
Oh, sure. They can find me on Instagram at lash_madam_she, or they can find my book, Not Your Mama's Lash Manual, on Amazon and get to hear my story of my trials and tribulations through growing this business.
That's really cool that you have a book. I forgot about that.
Thank you. Part two to come out soon.
Oh, that's really cool. Congratulations. So
Thank,
all of her links will be linked in the show notes. Thank you so much for
thank
coming on today.
you. I appreciate you. Have a great day.
Appreciate you. Have a great day.